Welcome to Into the D podcast. It's your boy Raheem, and we're excited for another episode. Here we want to deal with the empathy trap when helping you is hurting me. I want to dive into this. I want to deal with this. I want to deal with creating boundaries and opening up doors for self-healing. I want to deal with we helping people because are we attention seekers or do we need validation? Or are we really helping people because that's what we're called to do? But I want to deal with a few things. Here in this broadcast, we're going to identify, are you an enabler? How do you tell the difference between helping and hurting? We're going to deal with that because that's very important because sometimes we have become enablers. We enable people. We want to deal with the burnout alert. What is the sign, the signal that pops up on your dashboard to identify that you've burned out, that you're tired, that you've exhausted all of your resources, that there's nothing else you can give? What happens when your empathy tank runs out? And we want to deal with that because sometimes we allow empathy to put us into a place where now we're like, we have no other choice but to help. I want to deal with boundaries, one-on-one, how to say no without feeling guilty. Okay. You don't need to feel guilty after saying no. And then I really want to deal with emotional vampires. I want to deal with emotional vampires. Are you being drained by people you're trying to help? People who really know that you helping them, you're really going to say yes. So you got some vampires out here. Some, and I want to say this, some emotional vampires that only deal with people who know that their emotions are high. And then self-care, it's not selfish. Why prioritizing yourself? Why do people feel prioritizing yourself is a bad thing? Because you put yourself first. Like, no, I'm in a season in my life where my peace is coming more when I tell people no, more when I create boundaries, more when I just stop always overexerting or overextending, when I find myself trying to be who I'm not and trying to help people outside of my capacity, and then it burns me out. So you want to deal with in this season, in this area, on the empathy trap. I dare you to put that in the comments. You're watching us, you're listening to us. I want you to put the empathy trap. Empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of another. It is a cornerstone of human connection. It allows us to build strong relationships, offer support, navigate social situations with greater ease. When we empathize, we step outside of our own experience and we try to see the world from someone else's perspective. Empathy, we're good at that. We're good trying to get into someone else's thought, someone else's brain, someone else's mind. A wise person once said to me that if you was to get in my brain, you would not survive. They say only two people in their life can actually live in their brain without folding. And that's really truth, because so many times we try to get into someone else's brain, someone else's mind. And I want to deal with this for an example. The understanding can lead to acts of kindness, compassion, and a desire to deal with, alleviate suffering. However, while empathy is generally considered a positive trait, it can also lead to what is known as the empathy trap. The empathy trap occurs when our capacity for empathy becomes detrimental, leading to emotional exhaustion, poor decision making, and even explosion. This can happen when we become overly involved in the emotions of others, blurring the lines between their feelings and our own. Individuals who are naturally highly empathetic are particularly, watch this, suspects. All right, let's deal with that. Those are the people who know what they're doing. I want to deal with that for a moment. As they may struggle to detach themselves from the pain and the struggles of those around them, the constant absorption of negative emotions can lead to burnout and watch this, and a diminished ability to effectively help others. You cannot help anybody if you're burned out, if you're tired, if you're in a season where you don't know what's next, and you're in a season where you feel like I'm in a place where no one understands me. The empathy trap occurs when you are in a place where you allow someone else's emotions to become your reality. You have now warned somebody else's feelings. You're now in somebody else's mind because you're empathizing with them. And so therefore, we're in a season where you're saying, okay, I'm burned out, but I got to keep helping. Now, watch this. Even though I'm burned out, I'm not going to show that I'm burned out because this person depends upon me. This person actually needs me. So I'm not going to identify that I'm burned out. But one of the key dangers of the empathy trap is that it can cloud our judgment. When we are deeply immersed in someone else's emotional state, we make decisions based on feelings rather than logics. Did I say something or did I say something? This can be problematic in both personal and professional contexts. For example, an empathetic manager might struggle to make difficult, necessary decisions, such as letting go of an underperforming employee. Watch this, because they are overly concerned with the employee's emotional reaction. Similar situation in personal relationships, an individual caught in the empathy trap might stay in a harmful situation because they feel too much sympathy for their partner. So to avoid the empathy trap, it is crucial to practice self-awareness, to establish healthy boundaries, recognizing when you are becoming overly invested in someone's emotions is the first step. It's also important to remember that you cannot solve everyone's problem or take on their emotional burdens as your own. Learning to offer support without becoming emotionally entangled allows you to maintain your own well-being while still being a caring and compassionate person. The balance is, watch this, is the key to harnessing the power of empathy without falling into the potential pitfalls. What do you do, my brothers and sisters? What do you do, listeners? What do you do when helping other people has now wrecked you? What do you do when helping somebody has now burned you out? What do you do when you don't know how to tell no one no? So you're going to always give. You're going to always do. But I want to deal with this. Some of your languages has to change. Your language has to change. You can use phrases like wrecks you because then that's messing with your well-being. You can use the word sanity and terrible person. It makes it more conversational and less clinical. Did I say something real good? There's okay. And controversy titles like, oh, she just don't understand. No, you can't say that because you don't know what someone is going through. So we got to deal with practical solutions on, hey, I've identified that I am one of those people who are always helping. So what do I do in this place? Number one, you learn how to say no. In this episode, in this season, we'll understand it's okay to say no. And we're going to have many podcast episodes on identifying no, creating those boundaries. Amen. And understanding what does it feels like when you just cannot do it. So I want to deal with this for a moment. When helping you is hurting me, that means that sometimes you just can't do it. When helping you is hurting me, it prompts us to consider the motivation behind our acts of service. Are we genuinely offering help out of desire to support someone? Or are we seeking validation, control, or a sense of worthiness? It challenges us to examine whether our helping behavior are driven by genuine compassion or by the need to feel needed. Did that make sense? When helping you is hurting me, it invites us to have an honest and open conversation with those we care about. You can sit someone down and say, hey, I know that I've been there for you for years, but now it's draining me. Now it's hurting me. Now I cannot be that person for you. I don't want to end our relationship, but we need to see, what does this look like? We got to create another environment, another culture. And then it encourages us to cultivate self-awareness. And then it helps us to recognize our own limits and acknowledge that we cannot pour from an empty cup. And we must prioritize our own well-being in order to effectively support others. It reminds us that setting boundaries is not selfish, but rather an act of watch this, preservation. It is preserving us. It is creating an awareness that in this season of our life, I can no longer give what I don't have. So when you identify that, That's what I deal with when helping you is hurting me, because you're first in my life. I have you in front of me, and I put me in the back. So every time you need something, because you're my priority, or I have put you first, then you're the only person that I want to help. You're the only person I want to see win. But yet it's creating me to lose, because if God has given me the ability to start my business, but I have exhausted all of my resources giving money for your business, or helping you and promoting you and pushing you and marketing you. Now when it's my turn, I no longer have that same energy. I no longer have that same excitement, because I didn't spend 6 years getting you off the ground and helping you launch and helping you go. So now when it's my turn, I'm drained. I'm no longer excited anymore, because helping you put me in a place to now I no longer care. I no longer want to do it. So now it's hurting me. So what happens is compassion is a reminder that we cannot effectively help others if we're not taking care of ourselves. It encourages us to recognize when our helping behaviors are becoming detrimental. So, on these next episodes, you will be able to identify areas in your life that you need help. We all need help. And some of these episodes hit me first, especially when we get to the next episode next week, when we're identifying the word no. That is something that I struggle with. So I want you to dive into the deep with us. Like, share, and subscribe. I promise you that you're going to enjoy this season of episodes that we have for you. And our next one, we're going to deal with the inner child, because that's one of the reasons why we feel like we have to help or we can't say no, because there's something within our childhood that we have not healed. So I want to dive deep into it. All right. So I'm your boy Raheem, and I want you to catch us next week on Into the Deep.